shoes. And I think blacks spend all their money on big colleges. Still, most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead, Mr. Wendell.
Hi, welcome to the Community Classroom. This is Dr. Tracy McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator. This is a response video to Jabari Osaze. This is related to Jabari Osaze's concerns related to the sudden appearance of quote-unquote internet scholars that mysteriously appeared in 2016. There were questions related to the mysterious scholarship, the refusal to release any sources, and also concerns related to using sources that have one vantage point to mislead and misdirect to a counter narrative. There was also the concern related to creating this sense of credibility by discrediting scholars and education in general while using that data from those scholars to discredit the scholars and then uplift the self. And so one of the paradigms running of concern was this idea of these new 2016 going forward scholars being the new truth, the new way, and the new light. The sub-narrative is related to Arrested Development lyrics related to Mr. Wendell, where there is the assertion that blacks spend all of their money on big colleges and still most of them come out confused. And so under that is the idea that knowledge should be coming from the individuals who are presenting as the new way, the new truth, and the new light. And the question is, are these scholars actually the new way, the new truth, and the new light, or are they simply regurgitating things from old, repackaging them, and then putting them out as if they are belonging to them in terms of idea, in terms of theory, in terms of research, in terms of scholarship? If this video appears on anything other than Dr. Tracy McCarthy, it is stolen and unauthorized. Let's get started.
Chance to really get to know him. Now that I know him, to give him money is a charity. He gives me some knowledge, I buy him some shoes. And I think blacks spend all their money on big colleges. Still, most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead.
One of the issues going on is that there is a mix of fake social media and media makers and real social media and media makers. And so what you have are individuals who are, since 2016, coming out as the new researchers, the new teachers, the new historians, the new yellow journalists, the new musicians, poets, historians, ethnographers. They are the new sociologists, new anthropologists. They are also anti-education, anti-law, anti-scholar, anti-scholarship thinking. They are presenting themselves as being at the pinnacle of critical thought and analysis. However, one of the problems is that individuals are refusing to provide sources and refusing to give anyone credit but self for this work or these new thoughts or these new productions that they are claiming. And so there are a number of dynamics going on related to this situation. So you have individuals who are providing information, and for many people, some of the information is very valuable. It may just be a crumb of information that is valuable, but it is significantly valuable for a number of people. So for instance, individuals might be prompted to research and get more information about their family, about their ancestry, about their history. What people are doing, however, is they are taking that little grain of salt and they are magnifying it, and then they are generalizing. So when they hear anything from the scholars, quote unquote scholars, who gave them this little grain of truth, this little kernel of truth, they are then magnifying it, generalizing it to everything else that the individual is saying. And so the individual could say anything, and individuals are going to be prone to believe it if those individuals led them to a kernel of truth in the past. One of the concerns that Jabari Osaze raised was that many of the individuals that popped up as new scholars, they emerged in 2016, and this coincided with what was later revealed to be an intelligence drop, a social media drop from the individuals related to the Mueller report. And so many individuals don't understand that much of that information was targeted to certain populations. And so they didn't understand what was really going on. And some people might have even picked up some of that intel and then spread it, because of course that was the purpose of it, without understanding that they were spreading it. So they didn't have a clear understanding of the source. They didn't have a clear understanding of even the purpose of the media or these images that they were sharing. Anyone could fall prey to this because they look very real. And so that's one issue that has been going on, is that individuals have been sharing things that came from some fake sources. And in some instances, the fake sources were actually sharing things. Some of this was done innocently. Some of it might not have been done innocently. We're going to look at a couple of things just so that individuals, including Jabari, can see what was going on. Of course, Jabari is the one who brought this out. So there's a thank you for that. And for those who want to see firsthand what was going on, here is the information here and the link for this information. So from the House Intelligence Committee, you can see that there was a special edition related to the social media advertisements, again, related to that Mueller report. If anyone is interested, they can actually look at the minority open hearing exhibits, and you have a number of exhibits related to Black Matters and Blacktivists and other issues. Although some of the data is redacted, you can still get an idea of exactly what was going on in terms of this intelligence drop or intel drop into the communities via social media. And there are documents that you can see from 2015, 16, 2017. So clearly there were things going on prior to 2016. However, it goes from 2015 through 2017. So for those who are not familiar, this will give you a sense of what was going on here. This is just an example of one of the ads, and this was the ad related to the original Statue of Liberty in France is Black. And so there was an entire ad dedicated to this. Most individuals, if they saw this, they would assume that it came from an individual who was brown in America. You can see that it has information related to the targeting and the target population. So the target population for this particular ad was related to Martin Luther King, people who had interest in Martin Luther King, African American Civil Rights Movement, or Black History Month. And here is the ad that goes along with that information. You have the picture of the real Lady Liberty supposedly on the left, and then the fake Lady Liberty on the right. And this was posted on Instagram by quote unquote Blackstagram. And so this was created with that target audience mentioned in mind. And again, many people would not have thought that this was created, of course, by who it was created by, because they would have been thinking that it was created by someone or something known as Blackstagram. And here's an additional targeting ad. And this one is for ages 25 through 65. And this is from blackmattersus.com. And you can see the targeted population again with interest in Martin Luther King Jr., behaviors, African American. And you can see even more information because they're telling you where this is supposed to be placed. So you have news feed on desktop computers, third-party apps and websites on mobile devices, news feed on mobile devices. And down at the bottom, you can see the creation of the ad, the date and time that this was created.
Blacks spend all their money on big colleges. Still, most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead, Mr.
And this is another one of the fake ads that was placed. And this one was purportedly created by Black Matters. And so it was, the assertion was they don't believe the media, so they became one. This falls in line with the whole idea that's being asserted that people don't believe the teachers, and so they get on the internet and become one. There was also a focus in terms of these ads on the dynamic of self-esteem for individuals identified as African American. And so in this one, you can see this is the targeted age 18 to 65 plus, and the individuals targeted were individuals with interest in Martin Luther King Jr., African American culture, African American Civil Rights Movement, African American history, or Malcolm X. And this was the ad that went along with that. Again, a number of the ads went along with this dynamic of boosting self-esteem for individuals who were identified as having low self-esteem. And embedded in these ads were dynamics related to egocentrism and ethnocentrism.
Some shoes, and I think blacks spend all their money on big colleges. Still, most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead, Mr.
Another dynamic that came out in 2016 was this idea of Morpheus and a focus on the Matrix. And so there was an advancing of this idea of Morpheus and the red pill. What many people didn't understand, however, was that Morpheus is not the god of awake. Morpheus is the god of dreams and sleep. And so what Morpheus really does is Morpheus gives the figment, the shape, the figure, this outward appearance of being awake while actually being asleep or being lulled to sleep. And so again, this was a part of the dynamic that was being advanced. These were some of the advertisements that were being pushed in this fake ad campaign. However, many individuals picked them up and used it as part of the propaganda to advance this notion of being the ones who were creating the great awakening for people on the internet.
It gives me some knowledge. I buy him some shoes, and I think blacks spend all their money on big colleges. Still, most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead, Mr.
Now, here's the crux of the issue. The issue is that individuals are actually taking information and data from sources that came before YouTube, repackaging it, and then representing it in social media as if it is their own. And also, by the same token, discrediting the individuals from which they acquired the information. And so there are a number of scholars. If you listen to some of the rhetoric on some of the channels related to the data that they have, that they will not provide sources for. They refuse to tell you where they got the information from. If you look back in history, you can see the scholars that they got the information from. You can see the community leaders, Indian chiefs that they actually received this information from. However, they are presenting it as their own while discrediting and distancing themselves from the individuals who actually gave them the information, gave them the resources. And there's one scholar in particular who has packaged things very nicely so that anyone could just come and take from what that person has created and then recreate it, put it on Patreon or have donations for it. They could ask for all sorts of resources in order to support them actually representing the works of other people. And because many people have not looked at the old scholarship of old scholars, they sometimes don't even know that what they are actually receiving is simply information that has been repackaged from someone such as Van Sertima. And if you just go back in time, you can see where this information came from prior to 2016. And so what individuals were able to do is just take the information presented, particularly on YouTube, prior to 2016, repackage it, and then present it to the masses as if it's new information. And so people believe there was this great revelation that appeared in 2016. And you can see here, Chief Warhorse was on here 7 years ago giving this information. And so this isn't new information. You can see 2013. And then what individuals are doing also is they are using the works of others to confirm whatever it is that they have presented. So instead of saying that a new researcher is confirming old research, they are actually taking old researchers and taking their data and then using their name to suggest that those old researchers are confirming the new researchers, when in fact all the old researchers are doing is confirming their own research. We're just going to quickly go through a collage of individuals who have previously presented all of these theories and all of these facts that individuals, these quote-unquote new scholars, started presenting in 2016 as new information, new revelation, new knowledge that people did not pay attention to before. And so this is the first person, which is Chief Warhorse. And when individuals want to put a Hebrew spin on the historical narrative, they will go to Rudolph Windsor. And Van Sertima perhaps creates the total bedrock for a significant amount of information, particularly as it relates to American Indians. Now we're going to look at some additional scholars throughout time who have provided the information, this foundation for individuals who are styling themselves as the new historians, the new scholars, the new journalists, the new theorists related to American theory and African theory. An additional source of information for the new scholars. Yet another source of information for the quote-unquote new scholars. Yet another source of information and data for those identifying as the new scholars. And here we have a contemporary source that is providing information for these individuals who are identifying themselves as the new scholars. And here you have Dr. Clyde Winters, and this is the individual who is providing individuals with basically a treasure trove of information. So what is happening is that individuals don't have to actually go read Van Sertima. They don't have to go and read anything else. They can simply go to Clyde Winters' channel and take little tidbits from Clyde Winters' presentations, repackage it, and then represent it, add a little music to it, add a little tweaking to it, and then represent it, get donations for it, have a Patreon page for it, create all sorts of notoriety, what you call clout chasing, so they can chase the clout without actually doing any of the work. And so I'm going to show you an example of some of Clyde Winters' work so that you can see firsthand where a lot of this quote-unquote new scholarship data is actually coming from. Additionally, when individuals who are the new scholars want to present something that's mixed with Clyde Winters with a bit of significant controversy, they will go to this particular channel and pull from that channel. And as you can see here, this channel has been going since 2012. We're going to quickly go through some of the samples from Clyde Winters' channel so that you can get an idea of where some of this information is coming from. And if you want to pursue this information, you can go directly to the source versus going indirectly to other sources that are actually using this source. You can see that Clyde Winters' channel has been up since 2008. You can see the initial date for the first one that we're going to look at is 11 years ago. And so you'll see why people might want to use this information, because it garners a lot of attention. Again, this did not just come up in 2016. So you have a number of individuals who are presenting as if they found this information in 2016. It's possible they found it in 2016, but what Clyde Winters has done, again, is he has packaged things in such a way as people can, get the idea, get a little bit of the information, and then run with it. And so you can see 11 years ago, he was presenting on Black Mexicans before the Olmecs, Afrocentric research methods. Here you can see information from 1990, 1988 related to the colonization of Central Asia, related to the Dravidians. Again, this is old information. This is not from 2016, but all individuals have had to do is just go and pick it up, repackage it, not tell you where it came from, and then get the resources from that and get the quote-unquote clout for that. Here you can see additional data from 11 years ago. You have the Black gods of the Maya. You have information related to African-Mexican genetic admixture. You can see African traders and the Maya. You can see the Black Olmecs and the best evidence. So you can clearly see here where a number of individuals are getting information from, and you can see it's done in PowerPoint format. So it's very easy to follow and very easy to just take from that and then represent that. Here you can see information from 10 years ago. You see the Mali discovery of America. You see information related to the first African Americans. You look down, you can see information about Blacks in Southeast Asia. So the sky is the limit, as you can see, related to getting information from Clyde Winters' channel and then repackaging it. Again, you can see information from 9 years ago. You see information about the Black Asian Kushites. You see information related to Mayan writing. Again, this is way before 2016. And so this isn't some new revelation. This is old revelation, old scholars, and repackaged by new quote-unquote scholars. 9 years ago, again, you have Aryan invasion of India. You have information related to the Dravidians. You have information related to the Olmec heads again. Many people hear about the Mayan Indians. You see here information related to Black kings of the Maya Indians. Again, this is not new information. You see information about the Akan in ancient America. So again, individuals don't have to read Van Sertima. They can simply go to Clyde Winter's channel and see breakdowns of information and again repackage it and present it as their own while discrediting actual scholars who have done this work. Additional information from 7 years ago. You can see Japanese and Dravidians. You can see information related to Black Olmec kings. 7 years ago, you have discussions related to the Olmec calendar. You have information related to Black mound builders of South America. And here you have 6 years ago information related to African empires in ancient America. You have information related to the Aztecs. You have information related to the Mexicans and the Black gods of the Maya. So you can see there is a significant amount of information, lots of tidbits in this collection so that individuals have been able to simply take it again and repackage it. And here you can see information related to Black Native Americans at war. Again, this is 4 years ago. You see information related to the Dravidians again, more information related to the Olmecs. And here you can see 3 years ago, more information related to the mound builders. You can see more information related to what happened to the Black Mexicans. You see information related to Black Europeans. You see information related to the Native American population and the triangular slave trade. Again, so all of this information is packaged very succinctly so that individuals who are claiming to be new scholars could use this information, again, repackage it, and then represent it as new revelation. Here you have 3 years ago. You have Sumerians in South America. You have information related to an Aryan invasion theory. You have information related to Indo-European languages. And even 2 years ago, you have information related to haplogroups. You have information related to West African writing systems. You have information related to Ethiopian heritage and Sanskrit. And here you can see even last year there was information presented related to the history of Afrocentrism, the evolution of African people. And so again, there is plenty of information coming from this particular source that individuals have been repackaging and representing, and generally speaking, so that they could get funding. You can see additional information provided related to the Hebrews, related to the Aztecs, related to the Dravidians. And for those new scholars who are presenting as extremely esoteric, you have topics such as the cosmic origin of man. You have who are the Sumerians. You have information related to mestizos and Afro-Americans. So again, you have plenty of information that quote-unquote new scholars borrowed from this particular channel and then represented. Even last year, you had information related to the Melanesians coming from Africa. You have information related to Mandi inscriptions. You have information related to writing. You have information related to the Dravidians. So again, people could just simply come and take the information, repackage it as the quote-unquote new scholars, again, while discrediting actual scholars who did the work. And just 7 months ago, you have information related to ancient Indian records. You have information related to Dravidian Kushite origins. You have information related to Ethiopia. So there is a huge span in terms of topics from this particular channel.
Colleges, still most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead.
Now, clearly, there was an increase in this quote unquote internet scholarship that started around 2016. This, again, was not new scholarship. It wasn't new information. It wasn't new revelation. It was old revelation that was repackaged and represented as new information. Individuals who could only receive that old information that new way took this as huge revelation. They saw the individuals presenting it as the new truth, the new way, and the new light, as sort of scholarship messiahs, if you will. The problem is that there was also a generalizing. So anything that came after that, individuals took all of that as truth too. Now, a lot of this quote unquote new old scholarship was beneficial, because what it did was it sparked individuals to then pursue information related to their ancestry, to get a better handle on their individual histories for their families, and then take some actions to pursue some different avenues in terms of where they want to go with their families and in terms of their cultures, understanding their cultural narratives. What happened, however, was that, again, individuals took that grain of salt of truth and then extrapolated it to everything. And what happened was individuals then became immune to challenge or question. And you had sort of this flying monkey dynamic where, individuals were dispatched to make sure that no one criticized or questioned anything that came from these quote unquote new scholars repackaging old scholarship. Now, the question of duping and deception has also come up, and it's not just coming up with this issue, it's coming up with a couple of issues that are going on right now with the quote unquote charlatan type of dynamic and people being taken in by individuals in social media who are doing this, and then individuals who are trying to save people from being taken in. And so in response to that, it's not possible to save people who don't want to be saved in relation to duping dynamics. And so when individuals are being duped, they may not be prone to listening to individuals who are, shining a light on it. And so there may be a rejection of that. And so for individuals such as Lennon Honor and Jabari Osaze, who are trying to do that, one thing to remember is, as pointed out in another video, is that you cannot make someone else's salvation more important to you than it is to them. When people are ready to be quote unquote saved, they will take measures to save themselves. When individuals are prone to believe in a delusion, an illusion, they are not also going to be prone to want to hear that they are being duped. And so one of the reasons for that has to do with ego. And so when someone has taken the time to invest in and believe in and support something from another individual, they are not inclined to then discredit their own thinking by accepting that they have been duped. Now, it's great to support content creators on YouTube, on social media, but it is important that individuals not look for messiahs on social media. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care and see you soon.